Hello, everybody. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily today. I'm Chamberlain Oso.
Yeah, you're so surprised. It's me. Amaya Makide, good morning and welcome. Well, just for your information, the weatherman is looking at what the weather is saying, particularly in Lagos. I don't know what the weather is like in Abuja. It's 28 degrees here in Lagos right now. Well, my spirit is still there. Maybe that's.
Did you teleport here? You don't know what the weather is like in Abuja. Did you not see? Did you go through somewhere before entering here? Well, the weather is good here in Abuja, so don't worry about that. I can tell you that for free, as a matter of fact. But speaking about some very good, interesting piece of information or news came through last night about those 130 girls that were kidnapped in Niger State, the school there.
From those kidnapped.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
because I'm a little confused about the actual figure. But yes, it's good to know that at least
substantial number
they are out. So there are several other questions concerning or surrounding how, what, when, why, how, all of those are still there. But yes, in the meantime, yes, they are all back, which, yeah, go ahead.
I think we need to, I pay attention to language. The report, I think the release from the State House says the federal government has secured the release or something like that. In other words, it was the activity of the federal government. Okay, granted. But how about the states? Now, when you say you secured the release, what happened? Full disclosure, unless there's an official secrets act, you know, about that one, why are we not letting it all out to people?
Well, you know, the thing about this is that I think whatever reason that they've got for not putting the information out there to a large extent, to them it may seem good because they say, look, contrary to the narratives out there, we didn't, I'm trying to look at the word that they use there. But they say that they actually fought and did certain things, battled, and then got the girls freed. But if that information is not out there for the public, they can only speculate.
Now you've arrived at the same bus stop as I. People will ask those questions if they are uncertain. Governments all over the world, I beg your pardon, all over the world, and over the years, particularly in our country, has lacked the trust of the people. And so when anything that comes from government, they say there is more possibility of people doubting it than believing it. And we need to be able to reverse that. So communication, not just giving people information, communicating with people will help to bridge that.
So the thing is this, I mean, it's a democracy, and you will always, I mean, across the world, you will always have people who are cynical about governance, about what governments do, about anything and everything.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that the authorities won't speak to the people. So, yes, you know, I think the country is coming from a time, you know, when you have the vestiges of the military era, official secret, this is secret, they stamp everything secret, you can't talk to anybody, you can't disclose certain information. But times have changed.
Absolutely.
You need to talk to the people. If you want their buy-in, of course, they will not agree with everything you're saying. It doesn't mean, shouldn't stop you from saying, look, this is what we did, and these are the challenges we face. This is how we got these children now. Or else, you remember what we said about vacuum? If you don't give them information, they'll speculate. Nature about vacuum, somebody will fill it somewhere. Then you start playing catch-up. So, yes, and it could turn out that they're even doing much more than people think or expect. But if people don't know, if they don't have that information, it's going to be a challenge.
There is no doubt that government is doing a lot. I had a friend work with the Jonathan administration, and he was talking to me about something when people were saying, you know, after Jonathan, he said, if you see, he stayed at the White House, State House for a while, and he said, if you see the volume of work these guys are doing, it's a lot. But then, as some people are working for, some people could be working against.
That's normal.
Case in point, the tax thing that we're talking about, we'll get to that some other time. Now, another one that is interesting, particularly in that, guys, is the work of security agencies. Now that the president is saying, withdraw police from orderlies, police orderlies from VIPs and bring them to the core police functions, will that help mitigate? According to the IG, I think more than 11,000 policemen have been mopped up from VIPs and all of that. So that's on the one hand.
11,566.
Now, more than 11,500, policemen had been doing oddly work. And listen to the analysis of Frank Kumba when he was police PRO. He was saying that, look, a good number of policemen do clerical work, do engineering work, do, driving work. So if we take those numbers away, how many policemen really do we have? Now, you now add to, oddlies and all those things. So if we had all those ones in the proper places where they're supposed to be, will we still have the kind of, security challenges that we had that saw to the 130 students?
Well, probably. We'll never know. We may or may not. It all depends on certain other parameters. But I think it was the president of the Senate last week, Friday, as a matter of fact. Was it being political when he did ask the president that the lawmakers wanted him to revisit that decision of withdrawing police orderlies from lawmakers, and he says that they can't go home or something like that?
Let's hear him. Let's hear this president.
All right.
We share in all the pains you have gone through in the last 1 year, and we also share in the joys and applause of the reform agenda of your administration. Only one concern, Mr. President. As we direct the security agencies to withdraw policemen from critical areas, some of the National Assembly members said I should let you know that they may not be able to go home today because they may be picked up. So on that note, we plead with the President for a review of the decision. May God bless you. May God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And may God bless our National Assembly.
Interesting thing. He said, some of the senators said I should tell you. Not, I know it doesn't concern me because I have my own list. Maybe I'm being cynical. But, every senator is from a senatorial district. 109 senatorial districts across 36 states. There are members of the House of Assembly.
360 House of Representatives, right?
360 more. There must be more than that. Okay, well, maybe only, plus or minus.
And 109.
And 109. Almost, more than 400 legislators at the federal level. State houses of assembly have, legislators who have policemen. If they don't have policemen, maybe they are not part of the number. But I'm almost certain that they do. Now, imagine all of that. All of those guys. And then there are some of them that have orderlies for their wives, for their children, in some cases, and all. I love what the president said. If you need more, come and talk to me. Look, this is an opportunity to create jobs. Here is what I mean. Now that the president has made that thing, in fact, he has said it a second time at, I think it was a FEC meeting or, national security meeting or something. He said, look, if you need more,
maybe they should
discuss with the IG.
Refresh our memories.
Okay, let's have it.
Police officers from VIP or VVIP. I honestly believe in what I said, and I called on the IG, and I hope the Minister for Police Affairs is here. So if you have any problem of security because of the nature of your assignment, please contact the IGP and get my clearance. The Minister for Interior should liaise with IGP and the civil defense structure to replace those police officers who are on special security duties. so that you don't leave people exposed. NSA and DSS to provide further information and form themselves into a committee and review the structure.
So that's what the president said, and I like it. It's statement. Now, this should give the legislators a sense of responsibility to say, this is happening in my state. Any governor, any legislator, federal or state, that has had insecurity issues persistently in their areas, this is a call to action. And it's also an opportunity. There are private security, companies that are registered all over the country. What jobs are they doing? And then the president has also talked about NSCDC. What have they been doing? They are equally armed.
Well, I mean, his statement is clear enough. I don't know what part of that the lawmakers don't understand. He says we have the civil defense, we have the DSS. So must it be the police? I don't know if it's politics. I was going to say, I'm very sure he won't change his mind. Oh, no, but I'm not sure of anything these days.
I don't see that change coming. There may be compromise.
But it's clear, look, it's very clear. The civil defense and the DSS, that's what happens that's how it should be, really. So it must not be the police, unless they are telling us they do not have confidence in the civil defense. Maybe that's what they're not saying.
Another angle.
We might as well just say that on their behalf. So it's clear enough. But guys, we will be back in a moment. We've got several matters to highlight here this morning, so don't go away. Welcome back. It was a major relief from Niger State, where the remaining abducted students and staff of St. Mary's Catholic School and Secondary School have regained their freedom. The release came nearly a month after armed bandits carried out a midnight raid on the school community, abducting more than 300 students and teachers in an attack that reportedly lasted for hours. The Niger State Police Command has confirmed that development, saying more details will follow. So while families are reunited this morning, we'll have our guest who will join us to discuss this matter and more. We're joined here by Peter Ahmed, the General Secretary of CUPP. He used to be former head of IPAC. Good morning. Thank you for coming in today.
Good morning.
Well, about this release. So even though there are questions about the figures, yes, the parents, of course, they will be happy that at least a lot of their words are back. But for you, how does this information sit with you?
For me, I'm happy for the parents, as every parent should be. And it's also very dangerous. We're treading on very dangerous grounds, because what we're doing now is that we have a state, that have to go into discussion and negotiation with bandits, giving them a territory within our own sovereign state. So it's really frightening, because the details that they keep on telling you will come later are not clear enough. And because if you continue with this level of negotiation with armed bandits and terrorists who are terrorizing young, are targeting vulnerable children and school communities, you continue to embolden them, because Nigeria is big. If they've done it and successfully done it in Papiri, and they've done it in other places where government have come, negotiate with them. In some cases, people feel that the government negotiation does not just go with ordinary negotiation, that there's this level of exchange that eventually will swell the bandits' pocket and their economy, which will make them more, emboldened to continue to take up certain actions against them.
You've used the word negotiation or negotiate 4 times in 30 seconds. Do you have it on good authority that the federal government negotiated with the bandits?
I don't know what you want to defend. If a bandit carried innocent school children, we have not seen anything about any kind of discussion. And they have said it. Even the National Security Advisor said it, that we are talking, your children are fine. You didn't listen to that. The way the National Security said, your children are fine, they are happy, so we say that they'll be back soon. That's what he said. So it's clear that there's some level of discussion within the government and bandits.
Discussion. Are you saying then, so the reason I asked is because you said, that we're swelling the pockets of the bandits. So do you have it on good authority that those negotiations always come to money?
It is not a matter of good authority. This is what bandits are doing. They are into a bad economy, running our system, collecting money from kidnapped victims and all sorts of things. That's happened. It's not something that is, done, that we don't see it in our daily lives. Even families are paying to bandits. And even when you see this kind of situation, government has not given us detail. There's no full disclosure from the day one. There has never been full disclosure. That you say, we are talking to the bandits, your children are fine, they'll be back soon. So I don't understand what level of discussion. Let me tell you clearly. Yeah. We should not go on this path that we're going. We should involve more on the path of even having any level of the discussion with the bandits.
No, but there are two things. For instance, if there's a hostage situation, you're not just going to barge in and begin to shoot because you want those people released. So we don't know what context that discussion was. Because, for instance, if maybe security agencies were at that point wherein they're negotiating or talking about the release. So that's why we say, look, even this morning, government needs to speak up in terms of putting in proper context. What was the nature of that conversation you had with security agencies? Because if they don't speak up, but just as we also highlighted, people will speculate. They will feel it. Because, I mean, you ask yourself, why would, assuming that were the case, why would governments, for instance, even enter into a deal or negotiate or proper bandits in a country? I mean, not maybe a federal government, for instance. What's the rationale?
I think it's because of our weak security infrastructure and probably not boosting the morals of those who, undertake this security on our behalf. Let me tell you, we've seen cases in this country where America have, stepped foot on the soil of this, sovereign state and then come to rescue their citizens in an hostage situation. You need to be able to liaise that there are a lot of other technology that people have been using, like Google Night Vision and all sorts of things that the bandit might not have access to, which government must invest our money into. Because we can't continue to have such a level of discussion at all, at any level, with any ragtag group of people. It's putting our country more in deeper danger because, when it happened, look at Kwara, look at Kogi and Kwara, Kogi today. There are people who are still under the bandit, it was published on one of the news media handles. So we cannot, this is not something I'm just saying for the purpose of saying because I belong. I'm a Nigerian. We're planning to travel. A lot of my friends are talking, nobody wants to make attempt to travel home. So you can't have this situation like this. We shouldn't talk. We should be able to have a system that not only react, but proactive enough to stop these people in their tracks.
Does it make any difference, or rather, do you think it will make any difference when the president says bandits, violent cult groups, kidnappers, foreign-linked mercenaries are not just, bandits or whatever, they are terrorists. They're not just criminals. They are terrorists. Do you think that's in any way an actionable comment?
I must say this. It's difficult to say, but I must say that this is the truth. That the president said the truth. That we should start even trying to, water down the categorization of this dangerous group of people. It should all be terrorists. What is bandit? What is all this thing we call them? I've always been on that path, with whatever position the president has taken.
Do you think it will change the direction or the momentum of security agencies to go after them?
The momentum depends on a lot of factors. For instance, you have the armed forces personnel who are fighting this fight. What is the morale of the armed forces personnel? How much are you paying them? Are you taking care of them? Do they have insurance? If they die, what happens to their family? So these are the mistakes we are making. I grew up in the system, in the military system. I grew up there, and I know when people were going to Liberia, I know how people were even dying, and they were bringing them back to 63 reference hospital in my young barrack, and people were still going. Because when you have a system where Nigerian military personnel, their morale is very high, they understand that the government, they have their back, and their family, whatever happens to them. Not in this situation. If personnel dies, it takes years and years for his money to be processed. He has to, family wife have to be going around lobbying and all sorts of things. There should be a system in place that will boost the confidence, the morale of those who are fighting these terrorist groups on our behalf. That is number one point. And you also have to look at their well-being, their salary, their environment, the barracks they're staying in, and all sorts of things, and provide this. Because you have a situation, look at how much people in NNPC are earning. Look at how much people in CBN are earning. Look at you have all these special parastatals that are earning huge money, and yet the primary purpose of governance, as stated in our constitution, is the protection of lives and property. So those who are taking that function on our behalf should be well catered for, and you will see that this categorization that the president has said will take a very serious dimension that will help our country to work.
A good thing you understand that bit, having grown up in the system, as you said. That's why we keep saying, look, at least for the sake of those other people who are there, because there are some of them, many of them, who are genuinely doing their best and fighting to ensure that this country is safe. So when they keep hearing narratives like, oh no, government is negotiating with bandits and terrorists, it kills their morale if that happens. So that's why government needs to perhaps look into their communication, because I've seen clips, maybe classified clips if I could say that, of some personnel, security agencies who were actually in the line of fire. They were being shot at by terrorists who were about killing them because they went to rescue some few people. And I thought to myself, look, why are you people not speaking to Nigerians about some of these things? You need to improve your communication if you want to get the confidence of Nigerians to support you to ensure that this fight, because look, no matter how bad we think the police, the military, civil defense, no matter how bad we think they are, we still need them. So at the end of the day, the buck stops at the government's table. How did you go about securing the release of this girl? So those are the narratives that people want to know. So, I think I'm almost speaking.
Well, you sat on that chair before, so you know how it feels. But on that same leg, Mr. Ame, one of the things, there's been that concern, even from you as well, that we talk a lot about the military protecting the sovereign integrity of the country.
But not doing police work.
That's where I'm going. Now that the president has said, was speaking to the APC governors, and now that in the significant majority, we'll come to the politics of that later, but he was speaking to APC governors at their meeting, and he said, guys, we have bragged to foreign nationals that we must make state police work. First of all, how do you see that playing out? Because there are those who believe that there are so many dynamics to this whole state police angle than is obvious right now. Some people say, I think it was Charles Omole that was speaking to us, say, look, when you talk about state police, you're talking about more prisons, you're talking about more courts and all that. So do you think we understand the implications, the full implications?
I think what we are doing is just always trying to jump the gun, try to look for another reason to put some things in the media so that Nigerians can think that those in political positions are working. I've had the issue of challenge, direct impact on this. People who've lost friends in this war against insurgency, very big friends. My friend died, the Brigadier General died with the Atairu in the plane crash. Brigadier General Olatuji Lukman. And Skoro also died, till today we've not seen them. So these are friends we've lost. So it's very painful, those who have relationship with these people. So what I'm saying is that we want to talk about state police. You have to do comparative studies with state police and CX. State Independent Electoral Commissions, how these governors have messed it up. So there's a challenge that opposition will no longer, in fact, ever exist again. Because at the state level, even with federal police, the governors are doing, very dangerous, trading on very dangerous road. What we need to do, we have our statistics. People have proven beyond reasonable that what the challenge the Nigerian police have is not that they are not enough. One is that they are underfunded. You go to most police stations in rural communities, in my own community, they don't have a vehicle to go for emergencies, they don't have money for fuel, they don't have money for stationaries, they are extremely underfunded. I also saw what the former Chudoka, former minister of former road marshal, put on your station here. They are extremely underfunded. The police don't have money. There's no resources. When you go to the headquarters here, it's very lucrative. The IG is enjoying, the DIGs around there are feeling robust and feeling... But when you go to communities, when you see a policeman, you sympathize with him and his family. Why did he even take a job in the first place? So we need to be able to, first of all, treat the root cause of the challenge that the Nigerian police, the paramilitaries are facing, before we even say we are jumping into another cycle of creating another bureaucracy that might not... the major problem they're having is lack of funding and proper structure. Today, the president has become the commander-in-chief. You need to follow principles. Just like they attempt to promote a colonel without going to NIPS or going to defense college to brigadier general before public crash stop it. You need to be able to have system that is not, tailored through the whims and caprices of those in authority. Today, the IG is in the office. His tenure have elapsed. He has overstayed his years in service, And there are younger people who are also expected to become IG. They can't have space because the president thinks that it's somebody that I know I trust. So they don't depend on the trust that comes with the institution because they think that that trust is not enough. So we need to build our institution in a way that will be dependable, that will be sustaining, self-sustaining, and people will have respect for it. So
are you against state police?
I'm not against state police, but I'm saying we can't leave one problem and create another bureaucratic bottlenecks everywhere, and then try to restructure it that will, fall back to the crisis we already have. We have police. Are we funding them? No. Are we giving them the necessary infrastructure to be able to carry out their security work? No. Are we giving them the necessary morale for the personnel to be equipped enough to say, no, we are working for our country? People don't even respect road safety anymore. I remember I was being begged to join road safety in the early years of my life, and I said, no, I didn't want to.
You chose politics.
I chose business. I was into business before, a long time before I joined politics. Those watching knows, So what we are saying is that the system needs to have a tailored process in managing already existing institutions and give them the necessary resources that they need to have. Today we have the Navy. How much is the Navy doing in our waterways? You remember that a ship was caught by the Americans for stealing our crude oil. Today we're not going to hear anything later about that theft. Crude oil theft people talk about. It's not like somebody bringing entering through a window and taking a phone from a person's house. You have to bring the whole ship that will be the cargo ship that will be more than 2 times this building that we're in. So, but still, our Navy can arrest them. We have private security that we're spending 17.5 trillion naira. So money that is 3 times our money we paid for 12 years, money we pay for subsidy. So we need to have a proper cost-effective measure of putting our money where it will be more effective and beneficial to general people. We can't have a police and we spend 17.5 trillion. Where? We can't have a police and we spend 7.5 trillion. So
what you're saying is that if we're going to come up with, if we're going to decentralize the policing system or the structure, we must ensure that it doesn't end up like the Nigerian police that we have now.
That's the problem.
Okay, but because you used SIEC as an example, seeing how SIEC performs in states, how the governors, quote unquote, seem to, they always win the local government and the elections, or the local government election, the states in power usually just sweeps everything. But do you agree with those who say, well, for the most part, they think that the argument or the fear that people have is always about politics, not in the area of business or criminal cases. And so they think that that's a lesser evil, that with time we will overcome that. So state police, to them, they think is the way to go.
If people talk about politics as if it's they want something that people should not be involved in. Well, politics itself dictates our everyday lives. If you go, for instance, and you put somebody who manipulates security architecture to his own personal favor, most of us might not be here. We descend into authoritarianism. So it's very key that this is also a determining factor. Because if you have a political climate that oppositions can correct, because what opposition does is actually to give an exchange view of those in power, because as a government outside power, to be able to give an exchange view so that they can see an alternative to the policies they are driving, so that they will be able, because one time you're in power, there's a sycophants that roam around you and tell you, look at the ESAB we are reading from the Buhari 8 years government, which is, if you look at it very well and you read that book and part of the ESAB that have come out, you see that it was completely wasted 8 years when Nigerians were outside thinking that the president was working, and with the body language they defined, Buhari body language, nothing came out outside 8 years. That's what we're seeing in the books today. So we need to be able to have an effective political system that will be able to checkmate those who get into power. And
speaking about opposition, pardon me for jumping. Speaking about opposition, I think you must be discouraged, because look at almost several people crossing into the ruling party. And this is where Nigerians think, oh yeah, we need a good opposition. We need to make sure. And then at the end of the day, they all move to where the honeypot is.
The people crossing actually don't have shame. They don't have respect for the electorate. Because you contested against this party on the day of election, except if you feel you rigged your election. Because the electorate went to the polls, saw APC on the ballot, saw PDP on the ballot, saw Labour Party on the ballot, and decided to ignore the APC and voted for you. And then which you were canvassing on the manifesto of your party, on the constitution of the party you are in, and now you are moving to another manifesto and constitution which you campaign against. So it's about morality. And the only thing the people can do is what they did in 2023. Because I've been in this game, you know me, for a long time. We hoped that one day the people will wake up for an election and then determine their own future. They did it in 2023, but there were no structure in place to defend it. So they need to now go to the next level and say, we're doing it again, we're not giving up. Because this country we need to save this country on the hands of those who are very selfish when playing politics.
Just a quick one on, pardon me for taking us back to the state police thing, and you have just about a minute. The president is the president and commander-in-chief. Perhaps there needs to be some explanation about what happens if and when we have state police. Do the state governors now become commanders-in-chief of the police in their state?
Chief security officers.
They're already chief security officers.
I'm not sure what section that is in the Constitution. Or it's just something that we assume, you know, that they are supposed to be chief security officers of their state. So my point is, do they have total powers over the police when we have state police, or they still have to have some level of control, so to speak? Checks and balances, if you like.
The check and balance will come from the state house of assembly that lie in a very vegetative state. It will also come from the state high courts that are also under the control of the governor. So our democratic fabric is really in a very bad state. So that's why I'm also afraid of the state police. But I'm not worried about it totally. Not that it will not be useful. Because when you run a federating unit, you have a cascading level of authority. You have, federal, state, and local government structure built into a federal unit. But what we run in Nigeria is unitary federalism that is so, in federal in one term and very unitary in another term. For us to really I agree with CJ Musa that says that we should withdraw our soldiers from the highway. Because people are now not seeing soldiers as very serious armed forces anymore because they see them on the highway, they collect money. I've seen them collect money. These soldiers that stayed in checkpoint, and they will cause traffic in that railway, and that also, hit deep into their authority, the respect that the citizens give to them. Yeah. So we need to remove them from the highway, empower the Nigerian police more, give them more finance. Today we have a budget line item that says defense and security. Before it used to be just defense. Now there is defense and security, 5.1 trillion. I think maybe part of the money will go to police for the first time. Let's see how the investment go to the police, and then see that police is also trained in a way that will be so, equipped as the Nigerian armed forces have been. So it is clear that we need more resources to the police. Let's do that for a period of 5 years. And if we see it's not working, then we move down to, allowing our federal structure, which is normally they are supposed to be state police, and there's supposed to be local government or authority running their own too. But we are afraid of our system because of what politicians have done to the structure as it is today. In a state, there's no opposition. The governors are, except a few states where you have God-fearing governors. But in most states, the governors are clamping down on anything and everything, including the traditional rulers. They can't speak. If you speak, they will appoint a new one.
What is left of CUPP then? At this rate?
Our hope is dependent on the people.
Oh, are you saying that you also have renewed hope?
I have hope.
What kind of hope is
what we have today is not renewed, it's renew hopelessness.
Well, Peter Ahmed, General Secretary of CUPP, thank you for coming in this morning. So we'll be back in a moment. I heard them talking about hope as well for the Super Eagles. Well, we'll see how that plays out in just a moment, so stay on with us. Welcome back to Sunrise DDS. We're talking football now with Ida Petersai, former Nigerian international. Good morning and good to see you again. Thanks for joining us today on the program.
Oh, good to see you and good to see you again.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a while. We thought you went to the moon.
I wish. Yeah, I always thank God for saving me, man. It was a great feeling. So let's talk football now. I mean, are you one of those who perhaps think or any glimmer of thought that maybe the Super Eagles may find their way to the World Cup even after losing out with the qualifications?
Well, it depends. It depends. We've gone through the back road once, and I think it is possible to go through the back door again. The rules are the rules. You know, sometimes it is not about Nigeria or DRC Congo that we are protesting against. It is the rules of the game. You know, what are the rules of the game? If you have the DRC constitution does not allow anyone to have 2 passports. So it's already illegal, except there's a presidential pardon or a presidential fiat that says so players or so should be allowed to carry 2 passports. Outside that, the rules are the rules. And then it means that the players do not belong to the country they're playing for. So as simple as that. And then how did they get the passports? Because firstly, when you move from a different country, they give you clearance. FIFA would do that because you need permission if you've played for the under-17s, 20 and 21. To be able to play for another country, you need a clearance. Those players got the clearance, but they have a law, they have a rule. It happened to one of my people here that wanted to travel because they had a dual nationality. It was difficult for them to do that. So the rules are the rules. But well, for me, I've always said that we should have qualified from the front door, but not the back door. But if you're in trouble and you're in danger and you need to escape and the back door is open for you, so you have to go to it.
Well, what about those who say at this point in time the back door has been slammed shut because they say that there's a narrative from FIFA saying FIFA does not operate based on the country's rules or laws, that FIFA operates based on their own laws, and according to them, they cleared those players, they didn't violate any FIFA rule whatsoever, and so they stand qualified.
Well, the final decision will be made. FIFA has not said anything yet. It is the Congolese that are insinuating, that are interpreting the law on behalf of FIFA. Therefore, we have to wait for FIFA to give the final answer. So whatever the answer is, we'll accept it. Again, it's quite unfortunate that we have to go through this process, beg to get into World Cup, maneuver ourselves, write appeals and write letters, when it is so easy to win the games on the pitch. And I think our players, every time this thing happens, we never take the World Cup preparations very seriously. Why? Sometimes, we've tried to analyze it, because most times when the World Cup preparation starts, these players are on break. They go on break for 2 months, 1 month. Most times that's when this FIFA preparations come. So we have to be mentally fit. Our FA must prepare the players mentally to let them know that this is a season of qualifiers. So forget about your club, concentrate. I was talking to Finidi George the other day, and I said, hey, Ross, you are part of why we are going to what we're going to. He said to me that immediately they had the FIFA break, most of their players traveled to Dubai. They went on holidays with their family and stayed for a week. Then the following week came to the camp 3 days to the game. How do you handle that? Do you tell the players not to go on holiday? Do you have a structure that controls our players, a structure that makes them believe in the process of this is where we're going, this is the World Cup we need to go to, then we all need to work towards one goal. And it takes leadership to do that.
Every time we have to talk about such stuff, Mr. Peterside, one of the questions that come to my mind is whether or not, maybe I should ask it this way, the impact of Nigeria's football economy on the outcomes that we get. There are many people questioning the processes. I was listening to a clip by one of our internationals. I don't remember. He is, or rather maybe he was, the captain of the team at the time, said he had to take on the NFF president about paying the fellows whose monies were overdue and hadn't been paid, and he kept troubling them for months. He had to put a call through to the president's chief of staff at the time, who facilitated it, and then the NFF came after him and saying that, he didn't do right by them and he embarrassed the NFF and all of that. So if that, happens, perhaps there is a need to review not just the players, but the entire process, because maybe that is the problem here. So, because even if we, by some miracle, as you and Jamelin have discussed, get into the World Cup, then the football economy of Nigeria may still play its game and make nonsense of whatever efforts that have been put into it.
You're absolutely right. We don't have structures. These things are supposed to be structured. Qualifying for the World Cup, I've lived in South Africa for years. And they just qualified for the World Cup. And I've just been following their preparation, what they've been saying, how they've been saying it. They are so ready to go to the AFCON. They are so ready to go to the World Cup. They didn't even have to travel to any country to prepare. They went to Pretoria. Why? They have a center there where players can prepare, athletes, whatever it is. They are structured. Something is not right with this country, I'm telling you. So sometimes it's quite painful when simple things can be done. Absolutely very simple things can be done. Now you are preparing, you have a calendar, you have your, just like the federal government presented their budget. You know that we're getting into the season of the AFCON, into the season of the World Cup. You prepare your budget, you prepare whatever you desire and present to the government. And again, I don't want to say some things that will put me in trouble here. We need to look in and talk to those people in charge. I've been in situations where there are crazy demands from those in government, those in parliament, those running football behind the scene, making unnecessary demands. So you put a 1 billion request, and when the money comes back to you, it's 600 million. You know, these are deep truths that we need to begin to tell ourselves that if we don't clean up those things. Now, this NFF chairman or whoever is in charge has put in for ₦1 billion and he gets 600 million. He has to cut cuts here. He cuts here, cuts flight ticket, cuts hotel ticket, and gets to the point where he tells the players, see how much we have. We can't pay you X amount. Now, the protest they had in Morocco before, it was so obvious because they had assured the players over 3 months that this money should be ready. This money should be ready. And at the time the money was supposed to be ready, the money came out. But the truth about it is that if they had put in for 5 billion, how much did they get? Who held up the other parts of the money? And you get back to the players. You paid chartered flights. You paid for the hotels. These things must be paid for. And the balance you have in your hand, how do you manage it? You come back to the players and say, please manage this. We'll get another one next time. A lot of things are not right.
I know you did vie for that position. So what will your approach have been?
The same thing I'm telling you. You must have a calendar. You must prepare. Again, I've always said it, you need to have someone that can approach corporate bodies, someone with a flair, somebody that can convince corporate organizations of honesty, of being able to manage the resources. Nobody wants to give you their money and the next day they see you driving a Mercedes-Benz or building a house in Abuja. They want to be able to give you their money and make sure that these monies are well looked after. So we need to go back to that set of it and say, this person running our game, is it transparent enough? Does he have the cloud? He must have the cloud. And when you show up, they say, oh, this man is Ida Peterson, this man is JJ Okocha, this man is so. We know him. He means well for our game. He's not a politician. Therefore, in that, the game becomes the center focus. And as I said, have you not seen how many board members travel for a game? It's unnecessary, absolutely unnecessary. Go to the AFCON as I speak to you. If you have 30 board members from the NFS, the whole 30 members are there. Doing what? Getting extra codes and being paid. How do you pay the players? All of them get their monies before they leave Nigeria. And the players that are supposed to play beg for the monies to be paid. It's something about ethics. People are saying these players are rich. Who made them rich? Their gift and their talents made them rich. Therefore, they must be respected. So you see, you need to clean up. There's a whole lot of things we need to do to get there. Hopefully, my friends are there now, Lakbade and what's his name? You know, running our sports. We hope that they get it right, but we're still struggling. We hope we don't get any information coming up.
You essentially say, Mr. Peter's side, that we have a depleted trust quotient with the sports scene, with the football authorities in the country. Now, how do we build that back?
It's individual. You have to prove a point. You have to prove a point. Let me ask you a question. It's a candid question. You have 5 billion in your account. You want to invest in sports, and the NFF chairman comes up to you today and says, I need 4 billion. Will you give to him?
Oh dear. He's thinking about it. He doesn't want his money to be used for Kalo.
So that's the challenge. So if someone comes and says, I want to invest my money, it's an investment. Will I get a return? Will I do this? Well, if I put in my money, will I get the advance that I need? And you'll reassure this person, and there's evidence that the money the person has put in there is effective. So we hope so. And again, coming to the Nations Cup, maybe that's where we'll get to next.
Yeah.
Yes. Coming to the AFCON that is going on. We saw Morocco play yesterday. My goodness gracious. They played with a heart. And we saw even the Comoros team side back like they know what they're doing. I don't know when last did we see our national team put in that kind of effort. That's the fear. There's an AFCON going on. No one cares. Nobody wants to know. Who is in the team? Nobody wants to know. Normally, Chamberlain, you would have asked me, what about this? What about this? You would not ask me any question because you don't even know who is there. So
I'm keeping my gunpowder dry.
Well, as we discussed in the first topic, Mr. Peter said, we can have his hope. But Chamberlain will always remind me that hope is not a strategy. So we need that over time. Well, we have to thank you very much for your time this morning, Mr. Peter Said. That is former Nigerian international, former goalkeeper, Super Eagles, and he joined us virtually from PH. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you have a reason.
Oh yes, the Catholic Diocese of Kontagora has sent in notice confirming the second batch release of the kidnapped staff, pupils, and students from St. Mary's Catholic Primary and Secondary Schools, Papiri. They are expressing gratitude. Well, this notice came in yesterday, and of course today is December 22, and they are confirming that it has happened as of Sunday, 21st December 2025, expressing gratitude to the federal government, the Niger State government, as well as the parents, guardians, clergy, and religious communities. Of course, they also promise further updates and additional information as may be necessary, which will be communicated to the public in a timely manner through appropriate and authorized channels to ensure accuracy, transparency, and clarity in all official statements. So,
yeah, that's true. Press release, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. I wonder why they can't talk to people direct. Just address the press, face the camera, talk to the people. It means a lot more than just.
Well, let's expect that this.
I thought he's a principal for that school. Is there a principal?
Well, he's the diocesan secretary of the Catholic Diocese, of Kontagora. So that's a higher authority, I would imagine, than the principal of the school.
It's still the Christmas week, everybody, so don't forget that one. Be in the mood no matter what happens, because you should decide. Don't let anyone decide how you put yourself or make yourself happy or rejoice or celebrate this period, because no matter what, there's always the problems, I tell you. Well, that is the show today. Well, thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time. I'm Chamberlain myself. Goodbye, and a Merry Christmas ahead.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
And a Happy New Year.